Alright, so what's up everybody? We still got snow on the ground outside right now from a dusting earlier in the week, so sorry, but still no motorcycle content. However, this week I did pick up this Vevor lathe. So yeah, we're gonna do a little video on this now. I could have showed me unboxing it, but I don't think anyone wants to hear me breathing deeply trying to lift 80 pounds up onto this little work table. So we'll skip all that. Thanks to my father for this lathe because he paid for half of it. So I'm not gonna go super detailed into this thing. I am a machinist by trade, but this is the first time I've ever had any lathe at home, regardless of if it's junky bench top or nice, expensive, whatever. All right, I was interrupted there by the pitter patter of little feet for a minute. Let me show you what I'm working with as far as my cutters. So you can get a 5-pack of these little focus inserted cutters. Man, that is horrible. There we go. From Harbor Freight, 20 bucks. They're 1/4-inch shank, and I'm not sure about the Harbor Freight lathe, but on the this Vevor lathe, the gap right here for what we can hold tool holder wise is 700 thousandths. It's like 705 thousandths. So you've got to find something to shim on center with. And this is, again, the first day I've messed with this thing. So if I keep this tool post holder and don't get a quick change, which I'm sure I will, then, you know, it'd be ideal to have something better than 2 nuts. But I've got it pretty well on center, as you can kind of see from there. And I've already made one little test facing pass. And that first pass I made, I was actually using another cutter sitting up here underneath, and that was just I don't know, 50 to 100 thousandths or so above center line. It's not ideal, especially when we move from facing to turning. So a buddy of mine needs 4 essentially spacers made that he's going to use as wheel weights on a RC rock crawler. So I've got a piece of 1.5-inch brass. It's cannulated stock. That means it already has a hole all the way through it. I did not put that hole in there. And so we need to finish cleaning up the face here. And then we need to turn down the OD. And we will have to bore the ID pretty large. And I do not have a boring tool, so we won't be doing that today. This is more of just let's make a few cuts with this brand new lathe type thing. So we'll clean up the face, we'll make an OD cut. We may try using the carriage feed and see if we can actually turn the OD without cutting threads along the OD. I'm not too optimistic that'll work without changing gears, but we'll have to see. So let's swap over to our handy dandy, using my indicator base to hold a camera. So we'll get a tailstock view on this, and hopefully you'll be able to see it good. And let's cut some chips. Don't forget your safety glasses. So I'm gonna come in and kiss the face using my actual carriage movement. And then because I've got my compound parallel with my ways and it's graduated in thousandths, that's what I'll use to accurately feed in for this facing cut. So move in just a couple thousandths. I'm not sure if you can tell on the camera, but it looks like I might be a little bit below center line. If you've got to pick between being below center line or above center line, choose below. Now the rough here in the middle, I'm gonna feed in just one more thou. We'll take a light skim pass on the way back out and see if it cleaned up all the way. Looks like we did clean up all the way. So now let me grab my 1 to 2 micrometers. All right, we got, hopefully you can see this, we got 1 inch, 5, let's see, 16. So there's 1 inch, 525. 35, 40, and 16. So we're a good bit oversized of 1.5 inches. And I'm gonna reposition my tool to take this OD cut because right now we are at an aggressive angle for facing. So let's get that repositioned. Lock that down good. And the amount of these he needs, I'm just going to go ahead and turn as close to the chuck as I can get. Alright, started getting a lot of chatter there. So I believe the chatter is just with my tool post holder, and I'm on these really soft nuts as spacers. I have no tailstock, so let's cinch down on that, and then let's also, my cutter, the leading edge of my cutter is pretty much square at this point, so we're going to rake it back just a little bit. And that'll give us some lead in on our cut, and we'll see if that helps the situation. Still getting a good little bit of chatter, but we're also a bit of an interrupted cut. The outside of this brass has got like teeth marks in it in a couple of spots, 2 spots opposite each other. So, and we're not undercutting all the way through that. So that may be part of it. Let's see what happens if we go to using the carriage feed. I'm gonna back her way off so I've got plenty of time to kind of eyeball everything before we make contact. Again, this is the first time I'll be using the carriage feed. All right. Anytime you're using the carriage feed, keep a close eye on your chuck. The last thing you want to happen, the absolute last thing you want to happen, is glance away, not be paying attention, and end up running the compound, the tool holder, the tool itself, the carriage, anything into the chuck jaws. So, I mean, I can't state that enough. If you've got one of these, you're just getting one of these, and you know nothing about machining, then please, please, please always pay attention to what is going on around the chuck. All right, so back off a little bit. We'll take a measurement, see where we're at, and we'll get this thing turned down to size really quick and call it quits on this video. One inch 535. I would have just disengaged our carriage feed, which is really just more of a half nut lever with no half nut dial down here. But that was the first time I've disengaged it while it was feeding. I wasn't sure it was going to disengage very smoothly. So we're going to spin it back up and immediately just hand cut over to their first shoulder. Brass is easy to cut. It always makes a great chip. The problem is it makes an absolute mess. So I took a 10th cut using the marks on our cross feed. I'm not sure how accurate they are. So I dialed in a 10th cut. Let's see if it cut 10 thousandths or what it actually cut. It was at 1 inch 535, and now we're at 1 inch 518. So it took almost, let's see, radially it would have took a 10th cut. That's how much I dialed in, which would have been a 20 thou decrease in diameter, which should have left us with 1 inch 515. Instead we have 1 inch 518. So whatever we dial in, we're going to be a few thousandths off. Probably the more we go, the further we're going to be off. It's not going to be probably 3 thousandths every time, I'm guessing. Here I need to take 18 thousandths off, and if I want to do it in one pass, I would dial in 9, and then I should probably be a few thousand short based off that cut and what we learned from that. One inch, 500 thousandths, and 4.5 tenths. We'll call this video right here. We'll swap back to the iPhone camera. Just to give you a quick idea of how big of a mess brass makes, because we only turned off 30-something thousandths. So brass cuts great, especially on such a light duty machine as this. I would recommend brass, aluminum, mild steel. I tried facing a piece of stainless earlier, and it was giving me a bit of a fit, but I was also slightly above center with my tool. So anyway, this video is probably way longer than it needed to be for what we got done in this video. And whenever I get me a boring tool, we'll get the ID board out, and then we can we'll have to get us a part off tool and start parting off these spacers. So may or may not do that on video, but anyway, good little first test for the Vevor. I never said what size it is. It's the 7x14. I think if you actually measure the bed, you have more like 16 inches between center, but it's labeled as a 7x14.